we're here with Remy Schmaltz, General Manager of Decisive Farming, and we are going to talk about the fall fertilizer market. Welcome here, Remy.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. It's great to be here, and appreciate you taking the time to meet up with me.
Yes. So tell us about what's going on. Fertilizer prices recently kind of came down. What's going on there?
Yeah, we saw fertilizer come out of the spring pretty high, dropped off, and then we saw a little rally this summer, and that has definitely tapered off as we headed into the fall, and it was just kind of, I don't know, some normal supply-demand fundamentals, really. Still dealing with a lot of world economic uncertainty, and I think that's kind of kept everybody on their toes of not wanting to get wholesaler or your wholesale as well as your retail not wanting to get too heavy with inventory. Just don't know where things are going to go in the future.
Right. So, I mean, we are at a typical ebb point in the fertilizer markets with the prices. I mean, it's not this happens every year that they pull back. Looking forward, though, so for some farmers, there is a lot of pre-buying that happens. There's some storage that happens. There's some fall application that happens to try and take advantage of this. Looking ahead, is there anything that we should be thinking about or keeping tabs on? Sure.
Well, I think that, of course, you always have the China-India factor when you're looking at fertilizer. We did just see China come into the market, and they bought about 1.3 million tons of urea. So they found this to be opportune time for them to pick up some supply. They are the largest purchaser in the world of nitrogen, and so usually they do get the best deal, typically speaking. Mm-hmm. And I think that we've seen a lot of farmers also pre-buying some product, but I do get the feeling in the market that some guys are like, well, is it worthwhile buying right now or isn't it? And I think that, when we look at from now till, let's say, December to year end, things seem fairly flat. Mm-hmm. There doesn't seem to be a lot of bullishness, although things are at the same time firm. I don't think that we're going to see, the nitrogen or really any of the fertilizer markets really come down substantially. Mm-hmm. I think that the other main factor that's keeping this firm in the market is really corn. Mm-hmm. And, corn is the biggest user of fertilizer. And when you have $7, $8 corn, it really is going to keep fertilizer prices historically fairly high. Okay. We've seen right now the U.S. Gulf, New Orleans there, which is really the main trading point for nitrogen and most fertilizers in North America. It's sitting around $430 a U.S. short ton. And when we look at the forward markets, it's pretty flat out to December with, some appreciation coming into really, the first quarter. And I think that when we look at last year, it was pretty similar, actually. We didn't have the same softening into the fall, but, everybody kind of sat on their hands for a while, and then all of a sudden, the growers in the U.S. are like, holy smokes, we've got $7, $8 corn. We're going to plant a corn crop here, and they just started buying fertilizer. Mm-hmm. And so in the retail and the wholesale, they started buying fertilizer. Well, all of a sudden, we saw that huge spike in the market, where last year we actually peaked, depending on where you were in Western Canada, but close to around $900 Canadian metric ton. Yeah. Which we backed off right now. Urea is trading for around $600.
Yeah. No, with the drought this year in the U.S., I mean, the weather is always that variable that no one can accurately predict. Is there any fallout from that, or do you see that causing any, the fallout from it, or going into a year where, this past year was just a disaster for many U.S. farmers? Is that going to play a role at all, or is it really the weather?
I don't think so, other than it's caused corn prices and soybean and canola and wheat prices, everything to stay very high, which to me, I mean, growers, they've experienced drought before, they've experienced these other things before. And, I mean, if they haven't, they weren't in the business of farming. So for me, I mean, I think everyone anticipates they're just going to bounce back. And with high prices, they're going to be putting a whack of fertilizer down on their crops because the economics just make sense. This is really the highest margins we've seen in farming in probably ever, is my guess. I mean, when you look at the spread between fertilizer prices to where crop commodity prices are, I mean, in recent memory anyways, that's it's a big spread out there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, thanks much, Remy. That's great. We'll talk again soon.
Okay, thanks, Lindsay. Have a good day.
Thanks.